Well, thanks very much for speaking with Blue Notes again, Miley. We've been talking to some of the other executive team members and people from the Board Advisory Council about the Agile project that's been rolled out at ANZ. And the interesting thing for me, I'm not sort of fully au fait with it, it's a new way of working. It's not actually a process or a methodology. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I think one of the things you see a lot of people gravitating to is the theatre of Agile, right? So it's the stand-ups, it's the post-it notes, it's all the names and all that stuff. But when I take a further step back and say fundamentally, what is it about and why is it actually a new way of working versus a process, is that at its core, for me, Agile is all about distributed leadership versus centralised leadership. And it's all about, because of its distributed leadership, the requirement to be much, much sharper about what your objectives are in a way that is easily cascadable down through the teams. And so almost leading through numbers rather than leading through kind of verbal committees and meetings. So getting to a point where you can actually get people who are getting comfortable with distributing leadership, that's a cultural issue. That's not a process and methodology issue. Getting people comfortable with leading through numbers, again, that's as much culture as anything else. So for me, that's why it is more about being a new way of working.
And you've worked with an Agile way of working previously. Mm-hmm. Are there sort of lessons or sort of cultural learnings from that previous experience that bear here at ANZ?
Yeah, I think for me, some of the stuff that I needed to learn is, when I grew up, in corporate, you really only needed one kind of tool in your toolbox from a leadership standpoint. You could get away with being a very clear command and control leader and be effective. And in this new world, yes, there are moments where you need to learn command and control, you need to demonstrate that, but it's more important to have many, many different tools in your leadership toolbox, including being a servant leader, being a collaborative. You just need to be much, much more kind of sophisticated in your leadership.
You've spoken about the importance of data to strategy. Data then feeds into the Agile way of working as well?
Yeah, so data, I think there's two ways you should think about data in Agile. The first one is that data needs to be embedded in every single one of the teams, right? Because kind of leading through customer insights or business insights, which is in essence kind of taking data and gleaning some sort of commercial value from it, that needs to just be a standard way of operating. So there's going to be data experts embedded into the teams, but then also just making sure you then stand up independent kind of data squads. So I think data will be embedded different ways, but it's going to be peppered all throughout Agile, and it will be critical.
And when you look at ANZ, how do you look at the timetable for rolling out Agile, and how long before ANZ is a truly Agile bank?
Yeah. Look, I think there's going to be several phases to it. So we are already doing Agile in different forms and different ways. So it's not like we were not doing anything in an Agile way and then all of a sudden we're going to turn a light switch, right? So we have been operating in Agile, in an Agile environment in different pockets of the bank. So what we're really talking about is starting to scale it more broadly and scale it more consistently, because I think one of the things that a lot of people kind of miss is that there are actually different ways to do Agile, different types of theatre, different terms, etc. So getting to some sort of consistency also enables you to scale it. And obviously there's going to be some dates and gates along the way, but I think given that it is a cultural change and a way of working change as much as anything else, I think one of the things that we need to make sure we don't underestimate is that it's actually probably going to be years before we are expert practitioners of Agile versus just adopting it, right? So it's going to be a multi-year, just staying focused on getting better and optimization of what we're doing, versus just a one day you kind of flick a switch and you're done.
Well, I look forward to it as it rolls out and the cultural change. Thanks very much for speaking again with Blue Notes.
Yeah, thank you.